If we're looking at, say, nature, it's probably as high as men's propensity to have multiple partners in the same time period. So 40% of men, and perhaps 50% and higher, can admit that. Then I would say 40% or 50% or higher, more than half of women, have a sort of man, quote, for backup, who is a better package deal, right? Think about it. It's only natural to extrapolate that what we do, they do in their version. Mother Nature's very efficient, guys. There is no morality in the game here. It's all about success. Here we go. This is from a psychologist. So his video is titled, Men Treat Women the Way Women Treat Money. How Sex Roles Change the Dating Process.
I'm Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is Men Treat Women the Way Women Treat Money. So after my episode, Women Treat Men the Way Men Treat Jobs, I got a lot of requests for the complementary treatment. Basically, what are women to men? After giving it some thought, this is the result. Just keep in mind what I said in that previous episode, that it was understanding where women were coming from that helped me to make sense of a lot of otherwise painful and bewildering things that women did. And this understanding helped me to heal, accept, and ultimately enjoy more fulfilling relationships with women. My intention here is to do the same thing for you, ladies. If you can understand without judgment where men are coming from, this should help you heal, accept, and ultimately enjoy more fulfilling relationships with men. The key here is without judgment. It may be asking too much, but there it is. And that's the spirit in which all of this is being given. I'm here to help. Now, before I get into it, please remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. It takes less than a second, costs you nothing, and it's a great way to show your love. Thanks for your help. Okay, so women treat men the way men treat jobs, and men treat women the way women treat money. At first blush, you might be thinking, same, but different. But they're not the same thing at all. Think of all the associations you have about work versus all the associations you have about money. Remember, work is really a means to an end. No one shows up to work for work. They show up for a paycheck. This is why women typically have relationship goals. They see the relationship as a means to an end, just like men see a job as a means to a paycheck. But for men, women are the paycheck. They're the money. When we get into a relationship with you, it doesn't need to go anywhere because we're finally where we wanted to be. It's payday. It's the second Friday of the month. You know what I'm saying? It's our time to relax and have fun. And we think that way because of the incredible amount of work it took to get you. This cannot be overstated. Most women have absolutely no conception of the sheer amount of effort and time and skill and resource that goes into getting you.
And that's so important, man. Men try to make this distinction all the time, but a woman can't fathom. No, seriously. But you can't, she can't put herself in our shoes because her life has been receiving, choosing the entire time. It's how nature developed us. It is what it is. We compete for them. You can't in the day-to-day life of a woman, she cannot understand. The only way is to dress them up like a dude, make them look like a man, and have them live that life for a year so they can truly understand. Most women would absolutely go running, ripping the makeup off, the hairdo for the man, whatever wig they have on, everything, they'll rip it off to go back to being women. They would not be able to handle it. We've seen that one lesbian, Nora Vincent was trying to do a documentary to see how men lived, and basically she was trying to do essentially a hit piece and see how much easier men have it, and she didn't really off herself because of that, but at the end, and I'm sure partially responsible, but at the end she couldn't finish her documentary, she quit a few months in and checked herself into a mental health institute. So yes, Nora Vincent did a documentary. She dressed up like a man, lived that life for, I believe, close to 2 years, something like that, 18 months, had to cut it short, something of that nature. And it blew her away when she saw just how fragile masculinity is in society today, and just how much men need brotherhood and how much men need each other. Women, it's impossible, man, because we're seeing from a female male dynamic interpersonally, the moment they hit puberty, men already are sticking to them like glue. Men are eyeing them up and down. Men are pursuing them nonstop. Guys are trying to offer them things to prove their value, right? As a quote mate. So all women see is that end of the stick.
Because you don't see it. It all happens before you say yes. This is really important. So let me try to help you understand this. When a guy approaches you in the bar, on the street, and chats you up, and you're attracted to him enough to give him your number, or when you match with a guy on a dating app and you text back and forth and you're attracted enough to actually meet up with him, how long does the whole interaction take place? Just a few minutes in the first case, and probably just a few days in the second, from your perspective. From the man's perspective, it actually took years across hundreds of attempts. I work with a lot of guys on pickup and attraction. At this stage in my life, I can walk into a crowded bar and walk out an hour later with a handful of numbers. But the fact of the matter is that it's taken me 10 years to be able to pick a woman up in 10 minutes. It takes a lot of work to be confident, to be charming, to be smooth, to be successful, to be witty, to be self-controlled. And you don't see any of that work, ladies. You didn't stick around to see it. But we do the work for the same reason that you do your job. We want the paycheck. But here's the thing. Just like a lot of women secretly resent all the work that they have to do to get paid and would prefer to just have money, a lot of men secretly resent all the work they have to do to get into a relationship and would prefer to just have women. And the more difficult it is for people to get something, the harder it is for them to give it up, and the easier it is for them to take it when it's offered. And the more they want something, the easier it is to rationalize doing whatever it takes to get it. Women, how easy is it for you to spend your hard-earned money? Wouldn't you prefer to spend someone else's money before you had to spend your own? Of course you would. And on some level, it's perfectly rational for you to have that preference. But just like women would prefer not to spend their own money, which they earned, if they don't have to, men would prefer not to forego women, the access to which they earned, if they don't have to. Men do more work than women to earn their optionality. So it's hard for men to give that optionality up. For the same reason, it's also easier to take when it's offered. Ladies, how often have you turned down free money? Assuming it was being offered in good faith,
pay attention.
Probably never. If someone offered you money, like as a gift, you probably wouldn't say, "Oh, no, thank you, I have enough money." And you certainly wouldn't say, "Oh, no, thanks, I have a salary." It's very hard to turn down free money, and you probably couldn't think of a good reason to do so anyway. Your employer might not be thrilled about it, but why? Well, if his employees could get money without working for it, then he kind of couldn't use money to incentivize employees to be the means to his ends anymore. At least not without offering a better deal. Free money would drive up the price of employment. That said, we're probably not in danger of that happening anytime soon. By the same token, it's extremely hard for a man to turn down a woman who is offering herself to him. Of course, the socially acceptable thing for him to say is, "Oh, no thanks, I already have a woman, so I already have enough woman, thanks." And to men's credit, they probably turn down women significantly more often than women turn down money. However, it's very, 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 very hard to do so. And of course, it doesn't always happen. His woman might not be thrilled about it, but why? Well, if men could get sex without working for it, then women kind of couldn't use sex to incentivize men to be the means to her ends anymore, at least not without offering a better deal. Free sex would drive up the price of commitment. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to my final point. Women, let's say that you've worked hard for your money and you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor for many years to come. So you decide to consult with a financial advisor on how best to invest your hard-earned cash. Do you think that advisor would ever, under any circumstances, ever counsel you to put all of your money in one stock? Of course not. No one in their right mind would advise you to do that. The advisor would tell you to diversify your portfolio because in case the market goes south, you're not going to be completely taken to the cleaners. Do you see? The diversification of your portfolio is an essential component of husbanding your finances.
What also killed dating for us in social media age and the illusion of options women have. Yes. That's what he's talking about here. It's the way we view relationships, right? And how they view money.
Properly. What a strange coincidence that that word would show up in that context. Huh? By the same token, a lot of men, let's say, diversify their portfolios with women. Mm-hmm. Ladies, it's not personal. In fact, if you can look at it objectively, it's kind of the rational move. Just like it's not really prudent to invest your life savings in only one stock, a lot of men correctly see the risk of investing entirely in one woman, especially if that woman could leave at a moment's notice with no real recourse. And I'd like to argue that this is potentially as much a part of man's nature as it is a part of woman's nature to choose the best available compensation package or to leave a pre-existing position for a better offer.
You see that? Do you see? I love this guy, dude. He has a way of just explaining simple. Is this a previous RSD instructor? No. His name is Psych Hacks. There's his channel, guys. Follow him. He's a psychologist. See, Orion is a licensed psychologist in the state of California. There you go. So very well spoken, calm, and comes through on sexual dynamics, obviously from a much more presentable point of view to the masses. He doesn't have the terminology the manosphere has. He just very succinctly explains men and women and the differences without bashing either side. But that explanation there is perfect. So when he said a woman, logically, we can see how logically she should have the right to check her benefits package, and if a better one comes around, to make that decision, right? The way they view money.
Shaming and blaming, either way, does little to change reality. Mm-hmm. Contrary to what the internet will tell you, a man is not necessarily a narcissist if he has more than one woman. He could be, but he's not necessarily. According to one study, link in the pinned comment below, 46% of men, 46%, admitted to maintaining a sexual relationship with more than one person during the same time period. And that's just the percentage of men who admitted to it. Mm-hmm. On the contrary, epidemiological studies approximate that about 5% of all people are narcissists.
So that's an interesting stat, right? 46% of men were with multiple partners during the same time period. So when we talk about cheating and stuff like that, that's something interesting you want to keep in mind, right? Let's hear that one again and what that means for society at large. So that side of us is, of course, demonized. That side of us is what a lot of the manosphere is preaching about. High-value men and multiple women, and how it's been the same since we have sultans, kings, presidents, doesn't matter, right? Ball players, whoever, whenever a man reaches a certain level in society, quote, has more access to multiple women. In other parts of the world, that's still practiced. In the Middle East, you can have multiple wives in certain parts of the Middle East. Still, in certain tribes, in some, I wouldn't say uncontacted, but with very little contact to the modern world, they still practice. Saladin had 600 wives. Somebody put that in the comments.
Admitted to it. According to one study, link in the pinned comment below, 46% of men.
And so that's men who have to work so hard to finally get to the point where they can have one or two options. And of course, you're not just trying to let go of that and immediately invest all your eggs into one basket. So men probably are tiptoeing around and playing the field more than you would expect. And that 40-ish% number that's admitted to, like he even says, He alludes to that, and that's just admitted to. So do half of men usually tiptoe around and explore their options because it was so hard to get there in the first place? That could be a conversation to have.
46% admitted to maintaining a sexual relationship with more than one person during the same time period.
See?
And that's just the percentage of men who...
An interesting thing is, flip this on its head to women. Now, how many women, because they get pursued so often, even in relationships, how many women have, say, went on a date to vet potentially a better package deal out while she was also in a relationship? How many women have left that line open for entry to another man through direct messages where she's going back and forth to a potential suitor? So how many women have engaged in this so-called, we call them orbiters here. And an orbiter doesn't necessarily have to be a beta male. Typically, they are lesser men that are on the back burners in case you can't secure the highest value man. But sometimes a high value man does come into her orbit and is just put off nicely to the side there. Or she may just jump on it right away because the package deal is so much better than her current man. But nonetheless, it's interesting to think about what percentage of women do this. And I would say, if we're looking at, say, nature, it's probably as high as men's propensity to have multiple partners in the same time period. So 40% of men, and perhaps 50% and higher, can admit that. Then I would say 40% or 50% or higher, more than half of women, have a sort of man, quote, for backup, who is a better package deal, right? Think about it. It's only natural to extrapolate that what we do, they do in their version. Mother Nature's very efficient, guys. There is no morality in the game here. It's all about success. Thanks, Marcus.
Who admitted to it. On the contrary, epidemiological studies approximate that about 5% of all people are narcissists. When men have other women, they don't do so because they're pathological. How can it be abnormal when half of men do it? When men have other women, they do so because it's really, really hard to turn down free money, and it's really, really stupid to invest all your money in one stock. Ladies, the more you look at how you treat your own money, the more you'll understand how men are going to treat you. And the more you accept reality, the more things start to make sense, the faster you start to heal, and the sooner you start to get what you want. I know it's hard to see things from the perspective of the other side, but trust me, it is worth it to make the effort. What do you think? Remember to be respectful and let me know in the comments below. Thanks for listening.
Dope video. We'll be covering a bunch of his stuff. I just love the angle he takes. It's not inflammatory in any way. It's very clinical in nature. Let's see. Men, it requires years of labor-intensive self-improvement to achieve the relationship. The relationship is prized. Women, the initial relationship requires no effort. The work is transforming the initial relationship into the relationship she truly wants. Simply being in a relationship is not an achievement. This video is an intersection of many of the topics I've been delving into lately. The erosion of men's confidence due to dating apps, in which a small percentage of men get the majority of the women. Women remaining unmarried due to a rejection of traditional roles / expectations and a cultural emphasis on prioritizing careers. And the general uncoupling of sex and commitment. Louise Perry's new book says it best. The sexual revolution resulted in far more malcontent than anyone is willing to admit. Both men and women want security. What's the benefit to marry a woman, have children, and become financially intertwined if you know the courts will favor her with respect to custody / alimony? If a woman wants a man in marriage, she needs to reject the current social narrative and assure the man that he also has security, that she will be with him when the chips are down. An apt statement my father often said. Women decide if a relationship will begin. Men decide if a marriage will begin. Ooh, fire. We'll end that episode on this one. Again, give this guy a like on this video. Where is it? Like and follow him, Psych Hacks. Dude, we'll be covering a bunch more of his stuff. It's more of the voices we want when we talk about, quote, manosphere content or intersexual dynamics between men and women. Get the likes up on this video. Dawson, today my English teacher said the most important change in history was when women decided to stop getting married and having kids and instead focus on their careers.